So both the speaker and the host are organizing this meetup in individual capacity only, and we are not representing our organizations here. And this is strictly for learning purpose only. And with both organizer or presenter do not hold any responsibility. That same solution, whatever we are showing, will work for your use cases or business requirements. And this presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. And few housekeeping rules. We'll be recording this session and this will be available post completion of the meetup in the meetup page. And whatever the questions you have, you can put it in the chat and we will take up in the Q&A session at the end of this session. And if you have anything, if you want to speak up while running the, I mean, while explaining, while speaker is explaining, you can. I think your mics are all of your mics got enabled, so you can speak out. And when it comes to feedback, please give us your feedback. Your feedback is very valuable because based on that, I mean, many people are suggesting the topics, whatever they want to go they want to see in the Mysore group. So definitely we are considering based on that only we are coming up with the topics. It'll help us to correct also if we are not going in the right way anywhere. And yeah, we have two organizers for this group, and unfortunately, Shomam just a half an hour back he was dropped off, and he's working as a professional integration developer at Bilinium, and he is leading with me in this Mysore group. And myself, I'm Garidhar. I'm working at Haston as a senior technical architect. I take care of multiple MuleSoft accounts at Haston, and I'm certified developer and architect about MuleSoft and AWS. That's all about me. And today we have Abhishek to cover I mean go through that API development, REST API development, and how can we do that in Anypoint Studio. Over to you, Abhishek. All the best.
Yeah, thank you, Giri. Giri, we are recording this.
Yeah, it's already started.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank Giri, Shubham, and Mysore Group for giving me this opportunity and this platform to speak about the topic. Thank you so much, Giri. So just a small introduction about myself. So hi, this is Abhishek Bathwal. I am working as an associate solution architect at Episiro. I am a MuleSoft ambassador, a frequent speaker. I lead Guwahati and Lucknow MuleSoft Meetup groups. I'm a certified developer and architect. I have overall of 7+ years of experience and 5+ in MuleSoft. I create technical videos. I write blogs. So that's all about me. So let's move to our agenda for today. So, as Giri has already mentioned, we took a session on RAML in October. So we'll have a small recap. So this is just a continuation to that one, where earlier we discussed like how we create RAML. Okay, like what are the difference between specification fragment, what are the different fragment types, how we can use that in our specification, what are the best practices, all that we have discussed. So today our topic will be how to create a REST API using those RAMLs. Okay, the different way of importing the RAML in Studio, what is strict validation and why it is useful. Can we have more than one RAML in a single API, or we can have more than one IDs for a single RAML? All those we'll discuss. Okay, so let's start. So just before starting, as I already mentioned, so just feel free if you have any question or if you want to share anything, just feel free to unmute yourself or maybe in the chat, because we are doing a learning session. There may be something which I don't know or I miss and you think that it should be added in the session. So please feel free to do that. I would also love to learn from you people. Okay. So, starting with the recap, so what we have discussed in our last session regarding RAML was like what is RAML, then difference between specification and fragment. So, fragment is a portion of a specification. Specification provides you a complete structure of your API, like what are the resources, what can be the input, what can be the output, how many endpoints can be there. We have discussed about different fragments, like what is state, library, data type, and how you can import that in your specification, or how in the specification itself you can create it. Then the best practices, like what naming convention we should use. Okay, and we have a link for that. I will share that link. Okay, going to the next. So today we'll first see like how to import a RAML to the studio. I have kept the PPT very small because I just believe like more the demo, more we get it to know. So I focus more on demo. So the PPT will be small and I will just quickly go through it. So we have this three different way which we are going to discuss. Downloading RAML from Design Center, or importing from local file, or import a published API from Exchange directly. Then what is strict validation, where we can configure it. We'll discuss about that. We'll discuss like, is it possible to have multiple RAML in a single API? If it is, then how we should do it, and how it operates. Okay. Then can we have multiple IDs for a single RAML? If it is, then how we configure that. Okay. So some reference link which I will share at the end again. And then now let's directly move to our demo part. So any question till now? I hope you all are clear with the agenda which we are going to have today. Okay, so just discussing a little bit on the RAML. So just taking example of one banking API, a short one. I will not going to discuss more on this. Just to give you an overview, what was there. Okay, so it was just a simple RAML where I have used one resource customer, which I have get and post. I have some types. These types are getting from the library. This is my library where I have imported the traits types. Okay, like these are the data types. Resource type methods where I have get and post, which are made optional. This is a predefined variable. This is user defined variable, which I have used over here. If you'll see this example, okay. For my body as a post, I can have two mem type. One is JSON and one is XML. Again, in JSON, I can provide two different inputs to the single resource. Okay, all this we have done. So now what we'll do, we'll using this particular RAML, okay, we'll create our API. Okay, so we'll head to studio. I'm using the latest one, that is 7.14. 7.14 allow us to deploy to cloud of 2.1 2.2 sorry, allow 2.0 directly from studio. So any studio version 7.14 and later will allow you to do direct deployment to 2.0. Any version before 7.14 was restricted up to only cloud hub 1.0. Okay, so now let us create our uh, API. So we'll click on this create a mule project. Okay, if you are doing it for the first time. If not, if you right click, like if there is already an API, so if you right click and you will do a new project, you can see it over there. I will show you that. So once you do a create mule project, you will see this option. This window will pop up where you have download from RAML Design Center. Okay, import RAML from local file and import a published API. So what does it mean is, download RAML from Design Center is, for that, first of all, you need to connect your studio to your platform. Okay, and I will show you how we do it. So once you do it and you click over here, so it will redirect you to your platform, and in that to your design center, where you can see the RAMLs which you have in your design center. So directly you can choose it from here. Okay, once you will choose it and you will do okay, you will get that link. Okay, so once you get it, you just need to give a name to your API. Okay, just let's give it a minute. Just bear with me. It's got hanged. Sometime it happens. Okay, take, or it doesn't work like normal. Okay, maybe, and especially it happens when we show the demos. Okay, so just bear with me and make it response. When it respond, I will show you. Yeah, so we'll give a proper name. Okay, multi RAML API. And in this, we will also discuss the best practice. So always try to give a proper name to your API. Okay, in small letters, divided with dashes if you want. Okay, so I will do finish. So once I do it, it will automatically read that RAML and it will create the flows for me because I have enabled this scaffold, okay, from this API specification. So I don't need to go additionally and generate the flow automatically. When my API will be created, it will create the flows. So here it has created the flows for me. Okay, so now the main is there, the console is there.
Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, hi. My name is Rakhi. I have a question. Like,
yeah.
what does it make? What kind of difference does it make when you click on that scaffold thing while importing?
So what it does, it automatically create the flows for you. If you don't do that, suppose if you don't do that, then it
Mhm.
will just import the RAML. And then what we need to do is we need to go additionally over here. We need
Okay.
to right click on this. We need to go to Mule, and then we need to generate the
Generate.
flow.
Oh,
So
okay, got
that is an additional process we are doing. Okay, but in already choosing it, it is all automatically creating it for us. So we don't need to do that additional step. That's the only difference.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so here I got my flows. So I was saying like we need to connect our studio to platform. So how we can do it? Go to your windows, go to preference, and this go to anypoint studio and go to authentication. So you will get this. So once you will add over here, okay, you will click this add, this window will pop up. In this window you need to give the credential for your platform. Okay, if it is sso, okay, if it is under some domain, then you can go to config and you can select this external identifier. That means like suppose you have an organization which has restricted to your domain only. Okay, they are ssos. So you can use this option to connect your platform to your studio. Okay, so this is how you connect. So once you connect, you import the functionality of your platform to your studio, we can say. Okay, so this is what we have created. Okay, so under best practice what we should do is, now once this is imported in the global element, we can see the http and bank, this router has been created. But we should always have a common xml file for that. Okay, which you can name as config.xml or global.xml, up to you. Okay, so how you do it? Okay, you should just right click on this, go to new, and then mule configuration. Okay, I will name it as global.xml. Okay, and I will finish. So it will create an xml for me. So what I will do is, instead of putting that particular configurations in individual xml, I'll create a global so that I can have all the configuration at one place. Okay. So what I'm doing is I just imported the HTTP and a router so that the namespaces are created over in my this global config. Okay. But now what I will do, I don't need to use it. I will just simply go over here in my banking. I'll go to config. I'll just cut this part from here. Okay. I'll do this. I'll go back. I'll go to this config and I will replace this with that particular config. Okay. Now this I will do and I will save it. Okay, I'll go back and I will see whether it has been configured properly or not. Okay, so I got this banking. Okay, it is giving error, but it will, yeah, now it is fine. So I'm also removing this. Okay, and I will tell you why I'm removing this banking API thing over here. Okay, because I need to make it common when I'm going to import the second RAML. So this HTTP listener config will be common for both of them. Okay, so I just remove it. Fine. Now this is related to my banking. So also we should have a specific path. So API is a thing. Again, I will put banking with it. So it is like a base path. We are mentioning like my this particular API should work when I provide this along with the resource name. Okay, so this star means anything after this slash should be taken into account because the API kit router is going to route to our resource where we have our this resources. Okay, so if I put get with this customer, it should call this. Okay, so what we have in this, we have just a message get customer. So this data weave, as a best practice, we should also name this properly. Okay, so maybe I will name it as DW, that means data weave get response. Okay, this is one thing. This is our post response for JSON. You can see application JSON over here. So data wave post response for JSON, and this one is for XML. Again, this is post. Now I have shown you, like, for one body we have two meme types, so it will allow two different type of inputs for same resources. So this is how it is automatically creating two different flows for me. Okay, and I will do a proper naming convention for this. Data wave response for XML. Okay, along with this, you can put loggers at the starting and end to know whether your API has started or not. If you have any custom logger, depending upon your organization, so you can use that. Okay, so I will do here start get customer. Okay, I'll put a proper name to my display name to my logger. Okay, we should always put a proper display name and a proper message, because when you do your minutes also, it will be helpful. Okay, so and okay, similarly we can put it for this. I'll just copy. Okay, start post customer JSON. Okay, okay, so this configuration is done. Now what we can have, if we want to have any properties. Okay, so what we should is, we should create the properties over here. Now in this configuration you can see, okay, this port is hard coded. So we should always try not to put any hard coded values in any of the config. It should always come dynamic from our properties file. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll create one common properties which is like open, not secure, we can say, because environment related properties, whatever we create, we generally encrypt it, secure it, because we have got passwords, we have got some sensitive data in that. Okay, so we should always secure that, and I will show how we do it. So first let me create a common properties, and I will show you how we import that properties to our XML files. So first I'll create a normal common file, and I will make it as dot properties, where I will have my http dot port, which is 8081. Okay, and I will try to save it. So it will ask me for a location, so I will just put it in the resource, and I will name it as common dot properties. Okay, so my common properties is created. What I will do is, first of all, I need to import that. So in my this in my global.xml, I need to search for config configuration properties, and I need to choose that common properties, which is this one. Okay, so now this enabled me that whatever dynamic values I am giving over here, it will come from my properties, which is common dot properties. So I will make it dynamic. So to do that, I need to use dollar and curly braces along with my property name, which I have given in my property file. Okay, now I'll save it. Okay, second thing, again, as I'm creating this for banking, there may be properties which is environment related, might be a client ID, client secret, or anything. any password. If I'm using any DB or anything, so it will be specific password for each environment. So what I will do is I'll create a separate properties with respect to the environment to my API. So for that, first of all, I will create a folder specific to banking, and I will name it as banking, which I will put it again in the resource folder over here. And in this, I'll create a properties file. Okay, maybe I can copy and I can paste it over here, and I will change the name for that. Okay, and I will name it as banking hyphen dev. So dev is your environment. Okay, so you are going to specify in whichever environment it is going to deploy, it will take that particular properties. Okay, I made it dev. Okay, let me put it over here. In this, I will just do one thing. I will put banking dot API and I will name it as banking. Okay, fine. So I have used this property. Now what I will do is I will use secure property placeholder in order to call this one. Okay, and before that I will configure a environment. Okay, this I will env, okay, as my key name, and the value is dev. So my environment is this. Okay, uh, then this is my environment. Then I will have secure property placeholder. Okay, I don't have that now. So what I will do is I will get it from my exchange. Okay, make sure again you have already connected your studio with your exchange. So I will just find that in exchange and I will write secure. So this is the mule secure configuration property. So once I do this and once I import this in my studio, now if I go to my global and if I search for secure, I can get this secure property. Okay, so what it does, it has got some algorithm. So there are some online tools which you can use to encrypt your properties. Okay, and this helps, like you need to give your key, the file name, and the keys on which you want to encrypt your properties. Okay, I'm not encrypting anything now, I'm just showing you how we can do. Again, what I will do is I will choose the file. Okay, this is my banking properties, and this you can do for YAML file also. It is not restricted to only properties, it works for both properties and YAML. Here again, dynamically I will specify the environment, because if I deploy it to any other environment, it should pick that up. So I cannot put any static value like dev or anything, I should put some proper value. For key, I'm just putting MuleSoft only. Okay, fine. So this part is done. Now this property which I have used, I will use this name. I'll go to my banking. Okay, and in this I will just put it. Okay, like from which API it is coming. So to do it, yeah. Anyone asking anything?
Yeah, so my question is, while giving the password, we can also put a placeholder like secure key, which we
Yes.
can use.
Yes. What you can do is, okay, I will come to that. Okay, first I need to import this properties to my this database. For that, I have this P as a keyword. So I have used secure property placeholder. So I need to use this keyword as secure at the beginning, and then the name of my property. Okay. So for key also, yes, you're right. What we can do is, instead of doing this, okay, if I have an environment, like if I have a value, I can put it like this. Okay, now this key might be coming from my runtime properties or my CI/CD, from somewhere it is coming. So automatically it will take it up. Okay, this is what we can do. But now I'm not doing that. I'm just simply putting it. Okay, even if you want to test in your studio, you can go to your run. Okay, maybe in runtime config or debug config, you see the environments over here. So the environment which I have defined over here, like this environment, instead of putting it over here, I can put it over here also, env, and the value as dev. And for security property, I can just put the dollar with curly braces and key, and I can put the variable name as key and the value over here. Okay, so this is how it will work, and this is how it works when you when you do a CI/CD and put it over there. Okay, this is how it works. Okay, so this configuration we have done. Now let us run this and see how it works. Before that, I'll just tell you one thing. In my get, I have two query parameter. One is ID and one is location, which is mandatory. Okay, and we have a trait which is traceable, which is applied to both get and post. That is, I need to provide a X correlation ID as a header, this one. Okay, so now let us first execute this and see, and debug mode will execute and we'll see how does it work. We'll debug it, and then we'll talk about strict validation. Like, this is first how we are developing an API. Then after this, we'll have a part of strict validation, which I'll explain you with this example. Any other question till now from anyone?
Yeah, Abhishek, I think
We have.
Raghunath, Raghunath is asking that global.xml is defined so that it can be reused for other RAMLs imported into Studio.
See, global.xml, this is related to particular that API only. Yes, if in that API I am adding any other RAML, this will be common for both. Okay, this will be common for both. So each individual API have their own global.xml. Okay, and I will show you like how I am using the same global.xml for both my RAMLs. Are there any restriction for using this logger as a checkpoint in prod environment? See, generally this loggers, most of the organization have their own custom loggers because they add properties, a few more details over there. These loggers also we can do, but we should not uh, log any payload in info mode at least. Okay, if we'll see, we have different modes over here. So in info mode we should not ever log any payload. We can do that in debug mode. Okay, that's what advised, because we don't want to show our payload as an info in our cloud hub. Okay, we can use this URL to encrypt the properties. Yes, Ajay, this is what external one you are giving. So that is only work for dot properties file, but not RAML. Sorry, YAML. For YAML, it won't work. It work only for dot properties file. So we can do a studio encryption. That's why I said there are a lot of tools online also, and for offline only this is applicable to dot properties. For creating a common global element, can any other name be used apart from? Yes, yes, I said like it's up to you, Ankit. Okay, generally we use configure global. So global defined like, okay, we are doing all the global configuration in this particular XML file, but again it depends on you and it's particularly your choice what you want to use. Okay, there is no such restriction. Okay, but mostly we follow with global only. Want to know Cloud Hub 2.0 versus Cloud Hub difference? So Raghunath, there are different sessions for that. Maybe you can follow that. Today we are not strictly
Yeah, I
going to
have
talk about
given
this.
him a blog there itself,
Okay, okay, okay.
so he can go
How
through that.
can we config environment properties in Cloud Hub according to Cloud Hub environment? Okay, Yogesh, I will show you when I will show the deployment thing. Then I will show you that how we'll do like automatically when you deploy it on particular environment. So in the runtime also you can define the environments, okay, or in the CI/CD, and I will show where you can do it apart from doing it from your application. How you can do it. Okay, so my application is running. So I have my local host. I have my banking as my API and banking as my base, my customer as my resource, and I have shown you I have two different query parameters, ID and location, and a header. Okay, so I will just send it, and I am getting it. Now suppose if I am not sending X correlation, so it is giving me error because X correlation is a mandatory part. It's a required field. Okay, similarly, if I don't give any of this query parameter where both are required, it is going to give me an error saying required query parameter ID is not specified. Okay, so this is how we create an API and we test it. Now regarding the strict validation. So what we have given in our API is only this to query parameter and a header. But now suppose if I need to use any other header, suppose uh, API and I name it as process, okay, and say in a header I give it as any URL, okay, okay, HTTP localhost AB, something like this. And if I run it, still it is working. Although I have not given any additional URL or any additional header, still it is running. Okay. I am able to access my API. Okay. Now suppose if someone gives a long parameter, okay, so that can hamper your service, it can break down your service. Okay, so that's why the strict validation things come into picture. What it does, it restrict whatever query parameter or header you have defined in your RAML, it is going to take that only. Okay, so where do you configure it? You configure that in your router. So we'll go to our router and we'll see this is the option. Okay, so for parser there are different option, RAML, auto, or MF. We can use auto. Automatically it will parse your RAML. In this I will select both query parameter and header. Okay, strict validation for both query parameter and header, and I will select okay. Okay, let me clean so that I don't get any cache. Okay, and now let me debug it and see what does it do. Okay, okay, it's deployed. Here we have our console as well. Okay, so now let me see if does it work. See, now it give me an error. What it is saying, URL parameter are not defined in API specification. So this we are getting, why? Because we have enabled the strict validation. Okay, so it is giving me error. Okay, no problem, I will remove it. Now let us see, for header also we have given. So again we have got an error. What it is saying, API header not defined in API specification and strict header validation property is true. See, again the strict validation is disabling me to run this because API is not a header defined in my RAML. Okay, so this is what your strict validation do. It doesn't allow any unuseful header or query parameter to call our API. Okay, now see, now it is running because I'm giving the required thing which was defined. Okay. Any question, any confusion on this? Anyone?
Yeah, Abhishek, I have one question. So,
Yeah.
when you like when a flow is getting generated, so
Huh?
the count is like based on number of methods and resources, or
Which count
is
you are
it
saying?
also depend?
The
Yes, yes,
generating the flow count?
yes, yes, correct. So, is it
See,
also dependent on the
yeah,
content type?
yeah. See, there are multiple factors which is dependent when you create any flows out of a RAML. First thing is how many resources you have. That is one thing. So if I have two resources, then definitely I will have two flows. But again, inside my resources, how many methods I have? Like I have get and post. Now talking about this. So I have a customer, that is definitely one flow will be there. But inside that, how many methods we have? We have two methods, get and post. That means there will be two, correct? one for get, one for post. But again for post, how many meme types or how many input taken we have two. So this all factors depends on creating your flow. So get have only one, it will create one for get. For but for post again I have two meme types which can be taken as an input. So this post will have two different flows. So altogether I have three flows. Okay, so all
Okay.
this factor
Yeah.
depends how many flows will be created or how many resources will be created for your API. That's why we can see that, see, we have three different resources. Okay, apart from console and main, okay, we cannot treat that as resources, they are console and main. uh, okay, but the private flows which we can talk about is depends on your methods, on your resources, and in your method how many meme types are defined. Okay,
Okay.
got
Okay.
this?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So now what I will do, I will just disable this one. Okay, strict validation, and we'll come to our second part where we'll see can we have two different RAML in a single API or not. Okay, so can anyone tell me like what are the different ways I can use in order to have two different RAML in my APIs? Can anyone from the audience tell me, like, see, this is possible, and what I'm saying, see, what we are going to discuss from now, it's a concept basically. Okay, we don't say you should use this practice. It's a concept, you can do it for your POCs. Okay, but it is for knowledge purpose where we are looking up like what all capabilities a MuleSoft API and platform have. Okay, what all different things we can have. Okay, so types can be defined separate RAML. Aditya, I didn't got you. Types can be defined separate RAML means what types you are talking about? Using include. Okay.
Yeah, Abhishek Aditya. I was
Uh,
talking about the types, traits,
mhm,
all those if they have to be reused across resources, so we can
mhm.
define them in a separate RAML and then use them.
So yeah, for that already we have a fragment. So once we create a fragment and expose that to our exchange, so that can be reusable to any RAML. But what my question is, we can have two RAML in a single API. Okay, I'm talking about single API, two different API specification, not about fragments. I'm talking about specification. So
Okay.
how can we have two different RAMLs in our application? Add Z format dependency in POM. Okay, using Mule plugin. Okay,
Can
fine.
we use flow reference to refer to the other thing? Is
A
it
flow
same?
reference is to flow, but how to RAML?
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So there are two different ways. One is, one more thing I need to show you is, like, when you go to your API, now suppose we will be dealing with books. So what we can do is, there was an option of importing through local files. So what you can do is when you go to your API, okay, when you go to your one of your basic API, you can go over here and you can do a download project. When you do that, a zip file will be downloaded. Unzip that file, copy all the content from your that file and paste in this API. That is one thing. Another thing is, if you remember, okay, if a new project was created, there was an option for importing a published API. Okay, so when we do this, we import, like as someone said in the POM. Okay, we import that particular RAML as a module, and we are going to see that option, the module option, so that my RAML will be differentiated with API and a module. So I don't put everything over here and I don't make it clumsy. I make it little bit worthy to see and use. Okay, so what I will do is I will use that as a module. So what I will do, let me close other things. I will right click on this. Okay, I'll go to my manage dependency, manage API. Okay, and this I will edit from my exchange because it is already there in my exchange, and my name is books API, so I can see it over here. So I will just add it and finish. So when I do apply and close, again it is asking whether I need to scaffold that or not. So automatically it will create, and now see, now this has been added over here. So I'll do yes. So automatically again it will create the flows for me. Okay, so my this books is also created. And see again this is working as an individual API for me. Okay, I have two methods, get and post with author. Okay, I have different router, and this router is strictly for books API only. Okay, router. And now see the HTTP listener is not created. Why? Because already I have the global.xml and it is picking up from that. Someone has asked, correct? Will it be used or not? See, automatically it is sensing that and it is using that. The router need to be different because it is a separate API, but the listener is common and it is taking it from the global directly. I have not done anything. I have not went over here and manually does that. Automatically it has taken that. Okay, so I will just do the path over here, that is books. Okay, again same thing. I don't want my router over here because I need it to be common. Okay, I'll cut it from here. I will go to my global config and I'll just put it over here. Okay, so this is done. Okay, now one more thing, make sure about your console as well, because we didn't made any change in console. So my console for both the APIs will have the same base path, and that can create an issue. Okay, this can create an issue. So I will name it as also, like this is for books, so I will name it as books. And this one is specific for banking, so I will name it as banking. Okay, I named it. Again, what I will do is property file. Okay, yet I was using common for common and I have used for banking. What if I need to use it for books? Okay, I need to use it, correct? So what I will do is I'll create one more for books. I'll name it as books. Okay, and this I'll rename it to books tab properties. Okay, and this need to be changed to books and books. Okay, this I have changed. Again, I'll go to this. Okay, naming convention I have already discussed, so I'm not changing it over here. Okay, I'm just directly putting. So API, and this already it is in secure. So secure books.api. Let me make sure it is the same name. Yeah, books.api. Okay, books.api. Now I need to configure the property for this. What happened to this? Why it is failed? Okay, fine. Again, one more secure property placeholder. Okay, same. I will search for books, which is this as my env. Okay, I will give a separate key for this. Okay, I have done this configuration. Okay, so this is my config for banking and this is my config for books. Okay, so now let us run this and check how it works. Okay, so it will work as in you are working on a individual API. Okay, again you can see this books. I have got the related things for this. This is my RAML. Even though you may have a question, what if I am suppose I am doing some changes to my APIs, so the version will change. So you can still, okay, uh, update your version. See, you got this option. You can update your version from this. Even though you are changing in your design center and you are moving to exchange, you can update your version using this. If there is any update version, it will show it over here. You can drag that up, you can choose that current version and it will get updated. Okay, so now let us run this. Okay, I'm running it in my debug mode. So this was for my banking and I already have this for my books. I have a header in that. Okay, there is no query parameter.
Yeah, hi Abhishek. I think
Yeah.
For importing RAML, like we have one more option, right? That is right clicking on the application and from any point platform.
So that's what I did now. From Anypen platform only I did as a module. I
Okay.
imported it from module. See what I have used this time. I've used it from Exchange, not from Design Center. If you need to do it
Okay.
from Design Center, you need to like download manually, and as a local file you need to import. But what I did, I have created a module out of it. Okay, fine. So now see, I have both the console as well. Okay, instead of one, I have both the console. If you click any one of that, you can see. Okay, the same thing what my RAML have. Okay, so both are deployed. Now let me check author books one. Okay, this is giving me books. It is taking from where? From my books properties file, not from my banking. And this is taking from my banking. Just make sure whenever you do this type of thing, the name which you are giving inside your properties, that should be different. Like if you have same name from this and this, maybe it create a ambiguity over there. Okay, maybe I have not tried with the same name, but it may create, what I assume. Okay, but you can try it. Okay, so this is how we can import more than one RAML in an API, and we can work that individually. There are some good points, there are some bad points. Maybe there may be some cons on it. Like if you want to make changes in one of the API, then you are doing the changes, so that changes may affect others. Okay, so there are some negative and positive points, but this is what, to do a conceptual thing, that this is possible. Okay, if anyone asks you, so this is what the capabilities we can have. Also we can deploy the same thing in platform. Okay, I have already deployed it, and I will show you that. This is my runtime manager, and I will show you like I have applied two different policies to both of this, and even that has worked. Okay, you can use two different auto discovery for individual. Okay, because that is related to your main file. I will show you that. Okay, so this is my API which I have already deployed, and this is working, and I will show you that how you can deploy it. First, let us talk about auto discovery. Okay, so what you can do is, for auto discovery, you can just use API auto discovery, and in this it will ask you, see, this is my banking API main, this is my booking API main. Okay, you can see both. Okay, it is showing both the main. So if I'll use banking, it will apply it only for banking. I can give an API ID over here, whichever is generated from my API manager, and it will be applied only on banking. If I choose book and if I give an ID, it will be used only for that book. To deploy, there are again multiple ways. One is you can export it as a jar file. Okay, and then go to your platform and manually do it. Second option is always the CI/CD thing. If you want to go with CI/CD, there is one more option. If you want to directly deploy it from your studio to platform, then Anypoint platform, deploy to Cloud Hub. So when you go it over here, this will show the exact uh, windows how you deploy in your runtime. Okay, so this is showing my sandbox and everything. Okay, and this you can choose whether you want to do it, so automatically it has taken the name as well. You can choose whether you want to do it for Cloud Hub 1 or Cloud Hub 2. Anyone you can choose. Okay, you can give properties. Someone was asking about how to give the properties, like if it is for prod or any environment. So what you can do is, one option is in your CI/CD directly you can give, else you can give in your runtime properties. This is known as runtime properties. When you do it in your deployment mode, this is your runtime properties. So if you have not defined in your application, I can give the key and value, like I can do env and I can give the value as dev or sandbox. Like this is sandbox, so I can give the name as sandbox. Okay, and in my API I will have the resource name where I have sandbox as an option. If it is for prod and you have defined your properties file as banking hyphen prod dot properties, then your env will be prod. Okay, so this is how you define. So I have already deployed it in my Cloud Hub, so I'm not deploying it now because it takes some time. Okay, so to save some time, I have already deployed. Okay, so let me show you the configuration for my API manager, what I have done. So I'll simply go to my API manager. Okay, and in my second demo I will show you how we create ID from API manager and how we deploy all this thing we will see. Okay, just to save some time, I have already done. So this I have created for banking and booking. So two different IDs I have. Okay, so this is my banking. In this I have applied a policies which is client ID enforcement. Okay, this I have already applied. So my banking is taking client ID secret only. Okay, and for my booking I have applied a different policy which is basic auth. Okay, this is my basic auth, and I have given a username and password to this. Okay, so let me show you that this is not going to affect, even though they are in a single API, the security of one is not going to affect the other. Okay, so this is for my banking. Okay, I have already got the host, I have the ports, everything I have. For this I have used a client ID and client secret. Again, how we can generate a client ID and client secret? So once you like import, or once you publish it to your exchange, and when through the exchange you are creating it in your API ID. So if you want to create a client ID and client secret, what you can do is you can go to your exchange. So this is my API banking. There is a request access. So you can go over here, you can choose the API ID. Okay, so I have already created with this name, so it is showing to me. But if you want, you can create a new using this create new. In that you can give a name to your policies. Okay, and then you can, when you create it, you will get a client ID and client secret. Okay, that is how we do it for client ID and client secret. Okay, one more thing, if I can say it over here. Yeah, see, if you have access to in your organization, then in API manager you can go to your client application in the API manager and you can see. Okay, now suppose if you have forget your client ID client secret, if you have created that and you have the access, then you can go it in your API manager in client application and you can see it over here. Okay, you can get it from here also. Okay, so that is done. So let me just run it. So I have given client ID and client secret. I have not applied strict validation in this because I have not defined my client ID and client secret as a header in my RAML. So that time it gives a issue. But now let me first do it without client ID and client secret. Access denied. Okay, let me do with client ID and client secret. I got the banking. So for book, I have applied basic auth. So let us see if we use that over here, will it work? So I will use basic auth. This is what I have given username and password. And this is I am doing on banking. But what I have done for banking, I have used client ID and client secret. So see, this is not working. Access denied. Again, I am giving basic auth. So I will remove basic auth and again I will give headers and it will work. Same for book, I have used basic auth. So if I execute, it works. If I suppose remove this and if I give this headers as a client ID and client secret, okay, I'll just put it over here. Okay, I have disabled auth for book and I am doing with client ID and client secret, but book expects a basic auth. See, it fails. Restricted authentication is set to HTTP basic auth, but there was no security content of the session. Okay, so this is how it works when you give two different ML in a single API, but it works as an individual API. Your endpoints are like your host may be same, okay, but your endpoints are different. Okay, your securities are different. Okay, any question on this? So this was our first part. Why isn't our previous banking API not present in manage module? It was managed. I have not called it. I have not asked for it. I have just asked for book. That's why it has shown me book. Okay, if I let me see, if I go to my manage dependency, my manage API, in my API, if I search for say banking, see banking API, see it is there. Okay, just the thing is I don't want to import it as a module. That's why it was not there. But it is, if you have published it in your exchange, it is there. Okay, if we have RAML in two different branches in Design Center, it is possible to import both the branches into our code. Okay, you are talking about the branches which we are, yes, we can do that. Like in some, what we do is we create some versioning in our RAML as well. Okay, we do that. Okay, we do some kind of versionings. So that is possible. We can do it. We can choose that versioning and we can import that as well. Okay. Yeah, someone was asking something.
Hi Abhishek. So, hello.
Just 1 minute. Vamshi, while showing this example, I told you we can use API auto discovery. Okay. For this example, I have not put it over here, but where the API which I have deployed, there I have put it. There actually I have put it. Okay, that's why it is working. And thank you. One more point you have reminded me. So if you, just putting the auto discovery will not work. Okay, just putting the auto discovery will not work when you are using API manager in your runtime manager, maybe in your like mule artifact in your CI/CD or in your properties file or in your runtime properties. Please make sure you need to give a property which is a client ID and client secret. Okay. Uh, Properties. Yes. See this client ID and client secret. So what is this client ID and client secret? This is the client ID and client secret of your environment. Okay. You need to specify that. If you don't specify, then your API auto discovery may not work. Okay. So this is very much important to provide. So how you will get the client ID and client secret for your sandbox? So again, if you have access to this access manager, okay, in this you need to go to your environment. In environment you will see the different environments you have, like we have design and sandbox. So if you'll click on your particular environment, you will get the client ID and client secret. Okay, so this is very much important. Okay, when you use API manager or API auto discovery, enable to use the API IDs and policies, so that is very much important. Yeah, someone was asking something, sorry.
Yeah, hi Abhishek.
Yeah.
So, like when we update our RAML with a new resource or any new
Huh.
method,
Huh.
so and when we try to update the same in the studio,
Hmm.
what you mentioned using the manage APIs.
Correct.
So often, like while creating the scaffolding, it will give a like scaffolding error or something like to create the
Uh-huh.
new flows.
Mhm.
So, like, have you experienced like I have a query on that because I have faced.
Yes, I have faced that. So see, generally what happens now, suppose that's a very good point again.
Yeah.
So whenever you do any change in your APIs, and that is for sure, you might be adding a new resources, okay, or making changes to in your existing RAML where you are using adding some methods. So generally what happens when you update your RAML and when you do the scaffold, it doesn't affect the older flows and it generate what is newly added. It do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But sometime I have faced like where it just override everything, all my old things which
Yes.
I have created, it has override that. I have faced that. So that in that case I can say it is sometime it's an issue with the studio or raml, I'm not sure, but I have
Okay.
faced that. So what I generally do is if I do any changes in my raml, suppose, so I first make a copy of my this application. Okay, I make a copy it somewhere. Okay, then I add that new raml and then scaffold it, or I create a demo file, a demo application. I put the new raml in that, and then whatever newly has been created I manually put it. Okay, this two approach what I use. Either you first put a backup of your old thing, so that if anything messed up you can directly copy and paste those thing over here, so that you don't need to do a redo.
Yes.
Okay, but I have faced that. That's a good point. I have faced that, where in one of my application I just updated my raml and I scaffold it. It has just override everything which I have created.
And like while scaffolding also it shows an error like scaffolding error with some API kit configuration.
Yes, sometime it happens. That is due to some this platform is not correctly connected to your API, or it happens because of that. Okay, because earlier what happened, we used to have this internal explorer thing. So you will see there are some options where you are trying to connect to your this one to your platform even, it doesn't work. Okay, I have faced that also. So the earlier one used to have Internal Explorer and it was by default taking that. So there are some changes you need to do. Okay, additionally, you in your preferences, where you need to remove that Internet Explorer thing and you need to make some default browser, some default different browsers as your default browser for Studio. Then
Okay.
it work. But there, that is due to some glitch, like while connected to platform or using any browser. That's why it happens. Otherwise, it shouldn't happen. Like I have shown you now how I have taken it from platform and how I have created, and it worked perfectly for me. It I haven't shown any issue. Okay, but it happens. That also I have faced. Okay, that too I have faced while taking it from Exchange or Design Center. It has given error like we cannot scaffold it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, so we are done with our this particular one application having two RAML thing. Okay, so now
I
yeah.
think Abhishek, there was one more question from Vamshi. I think you answer for that. The auto
Uh,
discovery, the
yeah,
last
I
one.
answered that. I
Okay.
answered that.
Yes,
Yeah.
someone is speaking.
Oh, hi Abhishek. Actually, I'm from Salesforce background. I'm like very much new to integration. So
Okay.
we got a project in integration. So that's the reason. Like my manager said me to be in integration thing. So I went
Okay.
to your YouTube channel, the developers guide thing. So
Okay.
in the playlist, I could not found the 126 videos over there. So is there any way to get the videos there so that I can go through?
Anita, maybe we can discuss that personally. Okay.
Okay, but how to contact after?
You can reach out to me over LinkedIn.
Okay, okay, sure, sure, Abhishek.
Okay,
Okay.
because I don't think this would be a good platform to talk about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, sure,
that
sure.
would be very personal. So we'll talk it.
Okay,
We'll
I'll
speak.
ping you in
You
Ha
LinkedIn.
ha.
can connect in offline.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can connect. Okay. Any other question related to the session today?
No more questions in the chat.
No more questions. I'll,
Okay, fine. So I hope till now everything is clear. Okay, just give me a yes or no if everything is clear, or if you have any small doubt, at least just let me know. We'll just clarify it now. Okay, everything is good. Okay, I assume everything is good. So now let us do the second part where I will have same RAML. I will have a single API, but I will have two different IDs, API IDs, and applying two different policies to both of them. Okay, now we will do that. Okay, so again, we'll do it on American flights. Okay, I'll go to my API. I will say create new project. Let me take it directly from the design center the same way. Sorry, I will take American flights. American flights API. Okay, fine. Okay. In this, again, I'm not doing that best practices thing. Okay, because I've already shown you. So I will just not invest time on doing that. Okay, I have again simple API. I have a RAML. Okay, this RAML is a simple RAML, a GET request where I have this as my output. Okay, then I have my main. I have one resource. Okay, I have a router. This is my listener. Okay, API. My resource is flights. So let us debug this and see whether it works fine or not. So let me remove this. Okay, just a GET request will do. Okay. Okay, deployed. Now let me run it. Okay, I am getting an output. That means it is working. Now what we will do is we will do a kind of versioning in this. Okay, so this is my version 1. Okay. See, I'm just doing a versioning to my main. I'm not doing any changes to my resources, okay, to my console. I will just play around with the main. I will name it as main v1. I am also not going to change the router. Okay, just two things. One is the main, another is the base path. Even the HTTP is same. Okay, even the HTTP is same. Fine. Now what I will do is let me just remove all this. Uh, I'm just removing so that I can copy and paste. Okay. It is not like if you will have this error handling, it will not work. Definitely it will work. Just to make it more convenient for me, I'm just removing and make it as any. So whatever error will come will get strict over here. Okay. So I will just duplicate this. I will go to my flow. Okay. This is ending over here. Fine. I will name it as version 2. This is my v2 and this is my HTTP requester as v2. See, this is again a concept. Generally, what we do is this is what I'm showing is now suppose you have a single API, but you want to give it to two different clients. Okay, where you want to apply two different policies or you want to slightly change your base path. Okay, so you can use this. Otherwise, the best approach is like giving it to two different client with two different policies. The custom policies thing, where you create a custom policy where you define like in that particular policy you can apply two different policies to a single API. Okay, that is the best approach to do, but this is a just showing you like what all is possible with MuleSoft API. Okay, so this is my version 1 where my listener is version 1 and this is my version 2. Okay, this is my version 2 and this is my code. Okay, now let us debug it and I will show you that I'm changing the base path over here and is it giving me an output or not. Okay, okay, deployed. See, while deploying I have no issues. Now let us execute. This is for version 1. Okay, giving me output. Now I change it to version 2, still giving me output. So there is no issues while giving me the output for both two different mains with two different base path, which is version 1 and version 2. Now what we'll do is we will check by deploying it on cloud and applying two different policies to it. So first of all, what we will do is we'll go to our API manager. Okay, already I have this in my exchange. So I will go to my API manager and I will create two different IDs for this. Okay, so what I will do, so this is how you create your API IDs, okay, for the first time for an API. So go to this add API, add new API. I'm working with a Mule gateway, okay, for a Mule application. So I will use Mule gateway. Next, American flights is my API, which is already there in Exchange. I will choose this. I don't need to make any changes. It is RAML, it is version 1, and it is my latest version. I have not made any changes to my asset version as well. If you are using any other version, you can choose it over here. If you are using any API version, you can choose it over here. So I will do next. Again, nothing I need to put it over here. Simple. Okay. Okay. This is showing me, okay, this all things I have used. Save. Now this is my API ID. So I will use this API IDs for my version 1. So how I will use it? I just copy this. I'll go back in this global config. I will use auto discovery. I will choose it for version 1 and I will put my API ID. Okay. Auto discovery for 1 is done. In this, I will go for policies, add policy, and I will apply simple basic auth, okay, which is I'm giving it in my uh, Mule only. I'm not using any other third party. I will put as Mysore, and password is API version 1. Okay, see, this is my password and this is my username. Okay, let me put it over here, Mysore API version 1. Okay, apply. So this policies is applied to my 1 ID for version 1. Now what I will do, I will again do one more because I need to do it for version 2. Next, again American flights. Okay, next, fine, save. Okay, this is my second one. So I will go to, again, I will go to auto discovery. This time I will choose version 2. I will post. This is my API ID. I'll save it. I'll move back. I'll apply policy again. Let me use basic auth only, but my password will be different this time. Okay, or maybe my username is Meetup and my password is API v2. Okay, this is for my second one, applied. Let me write it over here, Meetup, and this is my ID. Okay, see, so both the policies are applied, the API IDs are created. You can see both over here. Okay, so now what I will do is I will deploy this API, and this time I'll deploy in Cloud Hub 1. Okay, it is possible in 2 also. I'm doing it 1 because 2 actually takes little time. Okay, so I will do it in 1. So from here itself, I will do it platform deploy to Cloud Hub. Okay. Automatically it is taking Cloud Hub, I think maybe because of vCourse. Okay, but we are going to deploy in Cloud Hub only. Okay, my name is fine. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Does it put the instance? Yeah, I have removed it. Fine. Okay, now in my properties, what I need to do is I need to make sure I am putting this. Okay, this is important. Okay, okay, fine. This is my name. I have used Cloud Hub only. Okay, and deploy. Now it is taking the file from my studio and trying to deploy. Let's refresh and see if we got anything. Okay, still it is running. Meanwhile, let me share you some of the link. So this is the link of the older session of RAML. Okay, you have already shared, Giri?
I've shared about multiple
Ah, okay.
specifications in one single API. Then
Let
whatever.
me share other links. Okay, you have shared this, so maybe I can, or maybe I can share again because sometime in
Yeah,
the
you can put
episode
it in.
blog, we cannot see it. Okay, so these are the links which we can refer. Okay, it's still running. Let's see. Okay, not yet came. It take little time. We'll just wait. Meanwhile, if anyone have any question, okay, you can ask me. Also, for Anita, I will share you my LinkedIn link as well. So if you wish to connect with me over LinkedIn, you can do it.
Yes, Abhishek, I sended you the request over there.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So now it is saying you can close this one. Okay, close window. And now if I go back to my runtime, okay, this one. Okay, see, it is deploying. See, now it is unregistered. Okay, till now it is unregistered and this is deploying. So I can see the logs as well, what is happening inside that. Okay, application queue to be deployed. So this is my logs. Let's see. Let's give it some time. In here it will show you, okay, both the API IDs what we have used. It will show it over here that it is unblocked now. Okay, and we can use it. But one API ID cannot be used in two different APIs. Make sure, okay. If you do that, it will not work. It will block your API ID. Okay, so single API ID cannot be used in two different APIs. But one RAML can use two different API IDs. Yeah, anyone, any question?
Yeah, hi Abhishek, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I have a question because here we are just requesting creating two API IDs, right?
Hmm?
So all those two API IDs we are creating only for the same RAML.
Correct.
Yeah, is it only because we work with two listeners there?
That is not only listener, but we have two different main flows. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
we have two different. See, listener. If you'll see, the listener configuration is same, but what
Mm,
I have different is I have two different main flows.
versions.
So it works on the main flow. Okay, it works on the main flow.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, if I'll show you, when we choose it, it takes the flow name. Okay, where you have the API kit router, it takes the flow name. So it works on your flow name. Okay, so it is deploying. See, now unblocked. You can see this is one. There should be one more, maybe somewhere up. So let's see the logs one, what we have. So it is showing you all the information. See, V2, main V2, it is showing. This is V1, V2. Then console is single. Okay, successful API manager. Then yeah, this is one unblocked. So this was earlier it was blocked when it was deployed. Later on it said okay, it is unblocked now. Okay, this is the second one. Both were blocked for the first time when it is deployed because it was deploying. Okay, now in the later part it has shown us as unblocked. Let me find that. Yeah, is now unblocked. This is for the first one. Similarly, there should be one for the second one. Yeah, this is for the second one. Okay, now our API ID is attached, our policies is applied. It is unregistered, but once I will do my first uh, hit to the API, it will give me the output. Okay, so let me again make sure my host. Okay, now I will go. Okay, this is my host. I'll put it over here. Okay, so first let us do it for version 1. So version 1, I am using a username and password, okay, which is API v1. Okay, see, I have put it over here, Mysore API v1. Okay, so this is for my version 1. So it is giving me an output. Now with the same authentication, let us do for v2 and see whether it works or not. See, attempt failed. Why? Because my username and password is different. Now let us make it the actual, which is meetup and v2. This is for version 2. It is giving me output. If I do 1, it denied. Okay, so I have the application is same, the RAML is same, just I have two different main flows and applied two different auto discovery on that with two different IDs and given two different username and password for the policies. It worked separately. My resource is also same, my flight, this resource is same, I'm getting the same input, but my base path with respect to the main flow is different and the IDs are different and the policies are different. Okay, hope you got this. And one more thing, earlier the API ID was unregistered. Now if I refresh it, And if I show
Abhishek,
you,
there is a question
it
from
is active. Yeah,
Suraj. Can we create multiple username and password in API manager policies for same API or an endpoint URL?
multiple API. I didn't got it. Like, okay, you are saying for the same ID, for the same policy, multiple username and password. Are you saying that?
Suraj, can you speak out, please?
Multiple username password in API manager. Okay, so that's what I said, Suraj. There is something called custom policies. For that, you need to create a custom policy where you enable this function where in the same API ID, in the same policy, you can have multiple. And that can be also done like in my organization I'm using, where I have a custom policy where I can use both client ID and client secret as well as a JWT token. Any one of that I can use. And with a specific client ID, I can specify what all resources need to be enabled. Now, suppose I have a get author and a post author. Now I have a client ID or a username, say Mysore. I want that if a username with Mysore is clicking my API, he should or she should only access the get author. So I can define it over there. And if I want there is a user with a username, say Meetup, he or she can access only the post. Okay, so that all things we can do in a custom policies. When you create a custom policies, you can anytime create a custom policies and do all these things. But in this particular which is provided, you can't. Like I have never seen. If anyone have tried it, then you can tell me. Okay, maybe you can apply multiple policies. I'm not sure. Okay, it is already applied. So you cannot apply multiple policies also, like the same policy twice. You need to apply any other policy. Okay, I hope you got that. Yeah. So just let's see what we have seen. So we have done a recap. Okay, we did a recap of our RAML session of the earlier one. Then we have discussed how we import different RAMLs, what is strict validation, how one API can have different multiple RAMLs, how one RAML can have multiple API IDs, and we can apply policies. We have seen the demo. Okay, all this we have covered. So yes, over to you, Giri.
Yep. Any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, so if you have any question, we are open. We can take questions. We have time.
Hi, Abhishek. Uh,
Yeah.
what are the advantages of having multiple API in a single Mule applications in terms of any weak or like worker or anything?
Yes, see, like if your APIs are small and you are not doing a like maybe I can talk about experience APIs, okay,
Yeah.
where we are just doing a pass through things just to call the processor system. So in order to save some vcodes, you can use that. Okay, that's the one benefit we can do, like where we can use or we can save some spaces over there. Okay, because it is just a pass through.
So we
That's
can
one benefit.
implement the system API and the process API in the single Mule application, and like we
That
can
I
save.
would recommend it to use process and system in same API, because system is for usability. Yeah, you can do, but see, the demerit is with this. If you have any changes is one of the API. Now, suppose if it is a trigger based, then it is fine.
Yeah.
But if it is a scheduler based, suppose you are creating an API scheduler base and you are creating both in one API, maybe creating although in that we are not going to create a RAML, but suppose there is a scheduler base and a RAML based API and you are creating this. So if you are making any changes to the RAML based API, then you need to first disable the scheduler one. Otherwise, if you're running it, it will run that.
Yes.
Okay, so that kind of demerits or cons we can have in this such type of development. But this is what I said earlier. This is just for a conceptual. In real time, we don't do it. Okay, many like very less organization or anyone do it where there is some issues with weak or anything. Okay, where the budget is very low. But generally, in real time, I don't see any organization doing this. But this is a concept which I have spoken about, because we can see like what all things we can do with our RAML, with our studio, with our platform, maybe kind of interview questions or capabilities of MuleSoft and platform, we can say.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Can we achieve same thing by changing base path in API specification and publish it under
That is
different
answered, I
API?
think, Suraj's question.
No, Yogesh one. Yogesh and Pragya has a new question. So first, okay, go with Pragya. I did not understand why the IDs were blocked first and then okay. So Pragya, when the first time the API is trying to deploy, okay, it don't want that ID to be used by anyone, okay, because the API is unavailable. That's why for the first time it is blocked, and when the API is ready to deploy, it unblocked that. Okay, that's the reason, because it is when it is deploying, it is taking all the capabilities and it is trying to make it ensure like everything is fine, so it is blocking that so that no one interrupt when the application is deployed. Okay, can we achieve something same thing by changing base path in API specification and okay, publish it under different API version to exchange? See, if you are using, if you are changing the version at all, so in the exchange also it will be updated now. So in that case, see, I've never tried it, but if you are anyhow, no, see, if you will put it on exchange, anyhow your version will be updated. You cannot put two different version for the same exchange, what I understand. And when you put it in your API itself, there also your it will ask for you whether you cannot import the same thing twice. It will automatically update the version. Okay, so Yogesh, I don't think that would be possible, but I never tried. Okay, but in
Either
my
you have
knowledge,
to
I don't
select
think.
any one version only. We cannot do it
Yes,
both
we
at the
can
same
do
time.
only one version. We cannot do two different version of same API in the same thing. Okay, auto discovery in Studio enable the APIs to be visible in API manager. Yes. So what API auto discovery Raghunath does now? It create a bridge between your API and your API manager. Okay, it create a connection between so that you can apply all these policies.
To
Okay,
establish the communication between them.
yeah, but there is a point like if you are that is when you deploy it on the cloud hub or on prem, we can say. But in your local, okay, let me show you. If you are doing a auto discovery in your local, now suppose I have done this configuration. If I run it over here, it will not work. Okay, because API auto discovery will not connect from my studio local to my API manager. For that, what you need to do is, and I have done that, you need to put a argument which is this one. Okay, you need to do this. So even though you have your API auto discovery config in your local, your API will work. If you don't put that gateway disable thing, it will not give you any result and you will think like what's going wrong. Okay, so you can use this as a argument. Any other question?
Or we can also go to the configuration.xml and disabling that part, right? API
Yeah,
discovery.
see, Raki, that we can do, but why I didn't recommend it that now suppose, see
Somebody
you
forgets.
now suppose you don't put this argument and you go and you disable this while deploying. If you forget to enable this,
True,
then
true.
again to make the changes. So
Yeah,
again, that is an effort.
yeah,
So instead of changing that, we can just put a small argument.
yeah.
Any other question? No
I don't
question
see any
means I
questions
hope
here. So
everything is cleared. I was able to make it clear to every one of you. I was not much faster. Everything was in pace and
it is very
understandable.
detailedly explained. Even it's a good continuation of our last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go to trivia then in that case. Oh, there is a message.
Is this video available online? So,
Yeah,
Gangula, like the older RAML one is available. I have already shared the link. Maybe if you want, I can share the old session. Even you can go to Mysore, uh,
meetup page.
yeah, Mysore Meetup page. Okay, this is the link of the page only. Thanks, and Arunab. Okay, so this is the link of that meetup page, especially of that particular session. And for this session, after some time, like Giri will upload the video again in the Mysore page and you can get it. Even though I have shared some blog, I can share that again. So the same thing which I have discussed now, all that thing I have in that blog. Also, there is one more thing. Okay, maybe I can show you that. You can sync your studio with your design center, so that if you are like, if you want to make any change, okay, you don't need to go to your design center additionally. Okay, so this is a blog about that, where in studio itself you can get that design center perspective, where you can make any changes in your studio itself and you can commit in your design center. So this is a blog from MuleSoft itself, where you can find that how to do it. So we usually say it as a git plugin thing. Okay, a push and commit type of thing, where directly from studio you can make any changes to your RAML and use that. Okay,
That will be in sync with Design Center as well.
yeah, in sync with design center. Yeah, Aruna, is it possible to share this workspace? So probably you want this APIs. So Giridhar, is there any way, like, do you have any GitHub or anything where I can share you this? Or maybe Anurag, like, see, this is a small one. I have shared the blog. In that, I have some videos as well. You can go to that blog and videos, and it will very easy for you to
Yeah.
utilize it.
If you try
Okay.
to create from, I mean, at your end by using these blogs, it will be
Yes,
experience
that
for
will be
you
more
as well.
useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anytime you can reach out to me or Giri or anyone, and you can clarify if you have any doubt. We
Yeah.
are you are most welcome to do that.
You can connect with us in LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's start the trivia then in that case, if there are no questions.
Yes. Just few things like take a chance to be a next speaker to the group. Okay, you can reach out to any one of